Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. So my camera battery is really low, so I'm really hoping I can kind of make this video without it going flat, and I don't actually have my charger with me because it's actually my girlfriend's camera. Oh man, this has got to be the most awkward video I've ever tried to set up in my life, because basically the tripod I have for this is not ideal, so it's been very hard to get the angle right so that you can actually see what on earth I'm doing. But basically what I want this video to be is kind of a bit of a first impressions, kind of I guess like a review, but not in great depth. I've literally just picked this up today. I have barely even had time to open it yet, so I kind of wanted to share those first impressions with you guys because I'm kind of really excited about it. And let's check you can see this in the camera. I've also got these. There we go. Still in the cellophane, so I'll do a second video looking at these open war cards at some point. So without much further ado, let's have a little look. I kind of want to at least get through every page, and let me just check the camera. See, fingers crossed that the quality of this video is good enough for you to actually read the text. I'm hoping it will be. I won't know until basically it's far too late, so fingers crossed. So the contents page has been up on the internet for a while. We've got a bit of a introduction. Sorry if I sound really like out of breath, but oh my god, it is so hot here. It is absolutely unbearable. This is like typical Englanders. For those of you who don't know, we kind of complain if it's hot, we complain if it's cold. There's no winning, we just complain all the time. So the many faces of war, this is kind of giving you just your introduction to the background. And the most important rule, basically, have fun, be nice with each other, you know, learn to come to agreements with each other when you're playing these games. You know, there will be situations where you don't agree on things. I don't actually know if it has the, I don't think it has the set of rules actually in this book, to be honest. But basically it all breaks down to this. You have three ways of playing. You've got open play, you've got narrative play, and you've got matched play, okay? So open play is basically where you chuck all of your favourite models together and just go, to heck with it, that is my game. And I don't care if dwarves are meant to fight alongside blades of corn, I'm just going to do it. And it doesn't matter about balancing anything as such. You know, you can kind of give, what's the word I'm looking for? You can kind of penalise the side that is at an advantage to kind of try and balance things out. So you can kind of have fun. I'm having to say, on page 8 we've already got a picture of Dryka Hammerdreth, so that's a good sign. You know, by now anyone who's watched my channel knows that she's my favourite character. So the open war cards, yay, that's what we have here. I haven't had a chance to look at them, but I know the idea of them is you basically have a map for your deployment, an objective, and I can't remember what the twist is. I think it's like some kind of unique condition that's going to happen, so it might be like pouring with rain or something like that. What did you say? A twist card. Yeah, the twist cards. So you draw one of the cards from each set. And okay, it doesn't really go into too much detail there, to be honest, from the looks of it. I've never done a multiplayer game. I would love to. Sounds good fun because you can kind of have two armies with their allegiance abilities and then not worry about all this new ally stuff. We'll get onto that in a second though. So what have we got here? The Coalition of Death. A lot of this stuff will not mean an enormous amount to me at the moment, because as I said, I've literally not looked at this. But fighting the battle, I really hope this is all viewable. Let's just check that I'm opening this wide enough. Can be a little bit hard to see into the middle of the book. So for Coalition of Death, we've got a set of battle plans, which look interesting. One thing I really wanted to fight the temptation of doing is basically comparing this to the first book. Like, I really wanted to get them both out alongside each other and work out what's changed, what's new, what's different, but I would probably be here for hours, so probably not the best start to a video. So yeah, we've basically got these battle plans. I really hope these are coming through nicely on the camera. I'm very fussy with the quality of my videos, and I know that might not appear the case sometimes with the abysmal stuff I put out, but I really do care. So I guess if there's anything here, if you can see this in the video, I would like try and pause it and then see if you can read it from there if I'm going a little bit too quickly. Secret agendas. I like the idea of all this stuff here. You can like have these bribes that can kind of change the face of the battle and make things more or less effective depending on what's going on with these kind of optional objectives. Triumph and treachery. Again, like, I haven't really gone into much of this stuff yet, but it does all look very interesting. I know this is not the most informative kind of video ever. I'm kind of waiting to get to the matched play stuff. That's where I'm going to get most of my interest. Triumph and treachery map campaigns. I know they've also just brought out the is it the Path to Glory book? I don't know where the overlap is with some of this stuff, but okay, so that was the match play. I mean the open play. I'm not really I haven't really played open play, which is kind of why I've got the cards, and I'm hoping I can use the cards a lot for the matched play stuff as well. I'm sure we will be able to. So narrative play is more or less your kind of, let's try and recreate the amazing storylines from the Age of Sigmar actual storyline, and I'm guessing you can just create your own storylines if you wish. I don't think it really matters. Yeah, look here, forging a narrative, you can just do your own. But to be honest, there are actually some great stories already. A lot of people have criticised Age of Sigmar for exactly that, but I just don't agree with them, to be honest. I'm very impressed with some of the storylines. I think they're very interesting, especially the being a Sylvaneth fan, you know, the realm of life and all of that, which is, I think, Pestilence and who else is it? I think it's Nurgle. Yeah, Nurgle and Pestilence against the Stormcast and Sylvaneth, which is really cool. So here we go, we've got battle plans here from the Realm Gate Wars. Hey, a nice tree revenant there. I think hopefully by now, if you're a fan of Age of Sigmar, you know exactly what the Realm Gate Wars are. They're basically where Sigmar tries to retake all of the Realm Gates. They've been long abandoned in the mortal realms, and the armies of Khorne and Chaos are running wild everywhere, so they start this epic campaign of basically trying to take back these realm gates. It's all very exciting. So I'm kind of looking forward to actually looking more at these narratives. I'm really interested in the narrative play. I kind of want to combine elements of the narrative play with the match play. That's my ideal kind of way of playing. So this all looks very, very cool. That's kind of why I decided to in the end collect a Stormcast and a Blades of Khorne army, because I love the Realm Gate Wars, especially the Khorne. I think they were called Khorne Bloodbound at first, and now they're just umbrellaed together with Blades of Khorne. Sieges, this is something I'm really excited about. They've quite often throughout the, I don't know, 15 plus years I've been into Warhammer, they've released these epic like fortress kits that you could buy, and I still have one of them. It's huge and it's literally in my room, and I've been kind of itching for an excuse to dig it out and try and put that into a game. And when I had a little flick through this earlier, something that sounds really exciting is there's a siege phase And imagine you're like playing a Total War game, like Total War Warhammer or something like that. You can basically siege a fortress, and you can attempt to starve them, batter them, or tunnel underneath. And starving them is basically where you isolate the stronghold so that defenders starve to death once their supplies begin to run out. And battering them, the attackers batter away at the defender's stronghold. With luck, one or more sections of the stronghold will be breached, making it easier to attack. And tunneling is obvious, but the cool thing is they've come up with like a sequence of rules. So for example, if you want to starve, let's check I'm still recording. Okay, we're all good. If you want to starve out your attackers, you can roll a dice for each defending unit. Subtract 1 from the roll if the unit is a hero, and apply any of the relevant modifiers from the siege table over here. On a result of 5 or more, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, say I want to attempt to starve, here we go, starve out the defenders in the castle. You could be like, okay, so this unit, I'm going to roll a dice. They have a counter tactic that they can do, so they can choose to gather supplies, they can try and rebuild, they can counter tunnel. So if you wanted to gather supplies, for example, you take 1 off the starve roll. So say they've rolled a 4, or say they rolled a 5, you'd be like, well, my counter tactic was to gather supplies, so that 5 becomes a 4, therefore I'm fine. If they'd have rolled a 6 and you gathered supplies, you minus 1, it becomes a 5, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. So that's a really nice touch, I like that. Ooh, knocking the camera. And obviously you can tunnel, which means you can go straight through the walls. Batter is kind of, I guess, less useful for just a straight up castle, but if you've bought loads of the scenery from the Age of Sigmar, there's some cool rules about how you can stop some of these things working properly, which is really good. And this is really nice as well. You've got a whole load of battle plans for some siege warfare, which I'm guessing the Chaos Dreadfort is probably a lot of inspiration for some of those. And here we go, the bit that I know I'm most excited for, and I guess, to be honest, this is what made Age of Sigmar suddenly become a whole load more interesting to a lot of people. There's just something about the friendly competitiveness that I like, and we all want to build an army list and try and use tactics that are going to basically win these games at the end of the day. And it's fun to theorize, it's fun to list build, it's fun to play the game, and that is what this whole section is all about. And obviously it was very revolutionary in the first General's Handbook, and when I go into a lot more detail we'll see what we come up with in terms of massive changes. But I know first and foremost at everyone's mind is going to be the ally system here, and obviously, which we'll get onto in a moment, the updated battle profiles, basically the point system. So we've got our 3 types of army. Nothing's really changed here, I don't think. We've got Vanguard, we've got Battle Host, we've got War Host. But the crucial thing here is you can now take allies, as I'm sure you probably know this already, but I think it's around 20% of your army list. So you can take 200 points in a 1,000 point list, you can take 400 in a 2,000 points list, and you can take 500 in a 2,500 point War Host. And the best thing here is you actually keep your allegiance abilities. So this is going to become basically essential for Skaven, because if you're stuck with Pestilence or Verminous and you want to take some Rat Ogres or some Clan Skye Storm Fiends, you can now do that while still keeping all of your unique allegiance abilities. So that is pretty awesome. Now, I think there was something, have I gone past it already? Nope, I'll show you that in a second. It's saying basically, have I gone past it? Somewhere it said something about it might be actually on the pitched battle profiles that this is now the list you have to use. So, you know, any points values you've seen before now are not valid, which is good. I like the fact they're updating it. I like the fact they're keeping the consistency there. So this is telling you a little bit about the allies, the rules of 1. Hopefully they can be seen clearly. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Because there are now 5 of them. And I can't remember what all of the ones were before. We've got the... Each spell can only be attempted once per turn, rather than once per wizard per turn. Oh, I think, is that a slight amendment? I'm not sure. Second rule of 1, on a roll of 1 to hit, wound or save, that is always going to fail. A 6 to hit or wound always succeeds. That should be called the rule of 6. Extra attacks, this is the third rule. Extra attacks, hits or wounds cannot themselves generate extra attacks. So yeah, we know this one. The fourth rule of 1, you cannot re-roll or modify the roll at the start of each battle round that determines who chooses the player that takes the first turn. Okay, so now you can't kind of, I guess, seize the initiative by attempting to re-roll that dice roll. The fifth rule of 1, no artifacts of power, or this is really hard to read around my tripod. No artifacts of power or similar items can be taken more than once in the same army. Yeah, that's nothing that we wouldn't expect. You can't spam stuff, because these artifacts of power are already meant to be kind of like legendary, great, powerful things, so it wouldn't really make sense to have tons of them. And we've got battle plans, house rules. There's something I really like is the way that they're really pushing for this flexibility to just play this game in the way you want, and I really do like that. For example, if we just skip back here, it says if you want to, you can ignore all of this, like all of the limits on leaders, battle line, artillery, behemoths, other units, allies. You can ignore the whole lot, and you can literally just do points. Just agree with your opponent how many points will be used, which can be as high or low as you like. When playing a points only game, ignore the limits on pretty much everything. You can take any units you like as long as you do not exceed the points limit you have set for your game. So just even for like match play, it's opening it up completely to play whatever you want, and there's no right way, there's no wrong way. If you like the open play, good on you, go and do it. There's nothing wrong with anyone's opinion. At the end of the day, we get into these hobbies to enjoy ourselves and to have fun, and that's what it should be about. So we've got a few more battle plans. More battle plans is always good. I think that's one thing that's going to be really good about the first General's Handbook, is it's full of battle plans, so we can still use all of those, which is excellent. And here we go. Yeah, here we go. Updated profiles. So this is the pitch battle profiles section. And we've got updated profiles, and now they're dated August 2017. Whenever we publish a new edition of the General's Handbook or a new battle tome, we review, update and fine-tune the pitch battle profiles for all of the models. This means that the profiles printed here take precedence over any profiles with an earlier publication date. They also take precedence over profiles that have no publication date at all. Anything that's changed since the last book now has one of these little stars next to them. And again, I really hope these are clear on the camera. But we've got the Chaos section first. So we've got Brayherds, we've got Blades of Corn. As I said earlier, I do collect Blades of Corn. So when I'm done nerding out over my Sylvaneth and my Skaven, we'll do another video on Skaven at some point. Then I will start looking at Blades of Corn probably next. The last Blades of Corn battle tome was actually really, really nice. I'm kind of glad I bought that. I think they basically just merged the Bloodbound with the Demons of Corn, and it just seems like such a more consistent list. And oh, I really wanted to talk about this, at least mention the fact I'm so pleased they have added Corgus Cull as an actual character. Like, it made no sense that you've got this fantastic character in the storyline with so much lore and interest, and you couldn't even actually take him. He didn't have his own name. He was just a mighty Lord of Khorne at 140 points. Now he is his own separate character, 200 points, and you can only have one of him. And seeing as they actually had already made the model for him, and if you looked at all the pictures of him in the lore, that the model was clearly him, so I didn't like the fact it was just a mighty Lord of Khorne. You can tell from the way I talk about these things that the narrative is very important to me. I like the characters, I like the lore, I like the background. It makes all the difference to me. So, very cool. I do wish they'd made Scarbrand a little bit cheaper, because he's still 400 points, and although he is insanely expensive, he does tend to go down a little bit like a lead balloon. More points over here for Blades of Khorne. Korgraths have changed. Again, we can go into this in a little bit more detail, and especially the Skaven. To be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed because there is a real issue with Skaven at the moment, in that each clan basically is lacking in variety. Like, look at that. That's an army. That's tiny. And how much is it going to cost you trying to buy a unit of 40 Night Runners, which are probably, if not metal, then at least fine cast resin? It's a nightmare. Clans Mulder, and I think they've now made the Rat Ogres battle line, which is excellent. I'm glad they've given you, well, battle line if Mulder allegiance, which is cool, but again, you're basically stuck with one leader who is not great. He has very good buffable abilities for other units, which is cool, especially for the Rat Ogres. That's it, but that's your only choice. You've got basically an army of giant rats and Rat Ogres making up your battle line, and you have one behemoth, and that's pretty much all you've got. That's your lot. Pestilence, it's a little bit better because I guess the Plague Monks are a very fun, unique kind of army. Notice as well, if you can see it, which I really hope you can, how all of these War Scroll battalions have jumped up in price a lot. Not so much for the Blades of Khorne, I guess, because they're a more recent list. Yeah, I want to talk about this whole Skaven issue in its own video, because I really think there is a problem. You know, Skye as well. You can take Acolytes as battle line, you can take Storm Fiends as battle line, only if you have the Skye allegiance. And basically, seeing as Skye Acolytes are insanely expensive and they're very dated looking resin models, like, don't get me wrong, they've got their own charm, as do all of the models that have come out, but do I really want just an army of Storm Fiends? That's exceptionally elite and small, so I don't know. I think they should have at the very least added Verminous clan rats to every single clan option. Like, it doesn't make sense that clan rats in the storyline, they're the most generic unit of Skaven. Every single clan has clan rats. So why they're only in Verminous, I have no idea. And Verminous as well, you've got literally 2 battle line options if you're Verminous Allegiance, and you have 2 leader options, and apparently that's an entire army. And the only saving grace here, as I said earlier, is that they can obviously take allies, but again, if you're taking 1,000 points of Verminous, you only get 200 points of other stuff to take, so you can't take your Storm Fiends. I don't know. It's not ideal. I think they really need to sort that out. As for like Master Clan, they're just a collection of heroes. You can't even take any kind of battle line option for them. I mean, they don't have an allegiance ability, but I don't know. I just wish they would kind of expand on these things a little bit and kind of give you more options. That's what it should be all about. Slaves to Darkness, this is what I've persuaded my friend to start collecting, because he's a classic Chaos Warriors sort of fan, and apparently they've changed them quite a lot. Well, almost every unit seems to have changed, which is very interesting. So I'll probably be digging into all of those at some point. I know they've given them now allegiance abilities, which is really cool. Death, I have to apologise for the fact I know very little about death. I'm very interested in potentially collecting flesh eater quartz because they have the which one is it? The Terrorgeist. That thing's a beautiful model. I love it. Well, not beautiful, I'd say horrendous in a kind of evil, twisted kind of way. So, always a good thing. Beautifully evil. Destruction, again, I've never really collected them myself. I do love, where are they? I'm quite tempted at some point to get into Beastclaw Raiders just because I like their unique looking models, but I know a lot of people complain about their tankiness. Might be why everything here, apart from the Yetis, has a star by them, so looks like quite a lot of balancing has been done there. But I also have a bit of a soft spot for Iron Jaws. They're a very cool army. I really like them. I guess my issue at the moment is I collect too many armies, so I need to cut down, if anything. I'm too tempted to just collect the whole lot. That's my problem. In terms of order, I'm really interested in getting into Dispossessed. Something I haven't really talked about too much here is all the different allies. Like, again, that's a whole video in itself, but I'm very glad that they added Ironweld. Is that it? Ironweld? I don't know how to pronounce that. Ironweld Arsenal. I'm glad they've put that as a Dispossessed ally because I felt like they might for some reason leave that out. I know one thing I was really annoyed about with, for example, the Skaven Pestilence is they can take Demons of Nurgle, but they can't take the, is it Nurgle Rotbringers? So, yeah, Nurgle Rotbringers, which, again, even from the lore perspective, doesn't make sense. They should definitely be allies, and I've no idea why on earth they can't be taken as allies. It doesn't make sense. So, occasionally there are things in the book I think don't make sense that you pick up on and think, well, why can I not take this with this? But, at least they've sorted that out with the Order, you know, the Dispossessed. And the Overlords, so they can obviously be allied up with them. Stormcast Eternals, I don't even know why they put that there. Stormcast Eternals can ally with everything, so almost doesn't need to be put there, but still. And I apologise for obviously picking out on the things I'm particularly interested in. It's a little bit like if you're going to take 1,000 points of Dispossessed, it's quite nice now that you can take a cannon, which is what I'm interested in, is all the artillery options. You can take a cannon, you can take the organ gun, and obviously in 1,000 points you'd be allowed 200 points of allies, so you could take, for example, an organ gun for 120 and a gyrocopter for 80. That would round you off nicely for 200 points. Again, I might have somewhat peculiar tastes for some in terms of what I like bringing to the table, but for me it's all about kind of themes. Seraphon can only ally with Stormcast Eternals. I do really like that army as well. I'd love to collect them, but same old issue. Stormcast Eternals I do collect, so... Oh, losing my book off the table. At some point I will be going into more depth about... In fact, they've got very little changes, really. Liberators. Looks like the only change we've got here is they can take a massive regiment. Okay, so my camera just went flat and I've got 4 minutes worth of footage left on my phone, so I really do apologise for this, but I'm going to have to finish this up within a few minutes on here. So, yeah, basically nothing really too much has changed. What was I looking at here? The Celestant Prime, I can't actually remember what these points were before. I think he's a little bit cheaper, but as you can see, very little has actually changed. And until you get to these, the War Scroll battalions seem to have changed a lot. But moving on, These Swift Hawk agents. Sylvaneth I've done extensively. Hopefully you've seen those videos and that all looks exactly as I was expecting, apart from maybe the massive regiments. I don't know if I mentioned those before. Here are the War Scroll battalions for those of you who are interested. Pause these things if you want to have a look at them. Wanderers, obviously we're going to talk about in a bit of detail later. Eternal Guard, 80 points for 10 of them, ridiculously cheap. Scenery, ooh, I haven't actually looked at this. Sylvaneth Wildwood now costs points, 40 points. 0 points if you have Sylvaneth Allegiance, so that's good at least. Then you've got a roster sheet. I think you can download those for free anyway. There is an update to Grundstock Thunderers, which is interesting. I think something to do with their weapon options, if I recall correctly. Choosing your allegiance. So I'm going to have to whiz through this, but we've got the new order command traits. We've got the new artifacts of power. Darkling Covens. Hopefully this should be coming through clearly on my phone because it's quite good quality. As phones go, I suppose. Dispossessed now have their own alliance abilities, and that makes me even more tempted to start collecting them. Like, that's really cool. Really pleased they've done that. Artifacts. Free Peoples. Haven't actually looked at them at all, to be honest, as an army, but you know, it's an extensively large hobby, so you know, I'll get round to it at some point. Fireslayers, I'm quite a fan of these people, so I love their new models. So of course, oh man, this is making my arm really ache. Obviously, it's always good that they've added new stuff to them. I love the colour scheme behind their War Scroll battalions as well. But they obviously have a couple new ones of those. Sorry about this fumbling. Seraphon. Oh man, I've got literally about 30 seconds of footage left, guys. Fangs of Sotek. Dracoth's Tail. If I don't manage to fit this all in, Wanderers, then I apologise. Ask me questions if there's anything you want, and I will very happily answer these for you in the comments down below. And basically, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to have to cut this one short. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys very soon. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys in the next one.